What I'm holding on to right now is the trachea. The trachea is the pathway of air from the mouth or the nose down to the lungs. Okay? And it has rings in it. So if you ran your finger along the trachea, you'd feel the cartilaginous rings. And the trachea, it has those rings in it to keep the trachea open. So later in the quarter, we'll talk more about that, about those rings. You will have to know the function of those rings, and that's to keep the trachea open. Because any tube that air is passing through, once that tube gets deflated and once it goes flat, it's really hard to reinflate it. Like the worst part of blowing up a balloon is that first little bit of blowing it up. Right? Once it's got some air in it, it's easier to put more air into it or to take air out. Right? So the rings stay open so that air can easily flow into and out of our lungs. Okay? So this is trachea. And up above the trachea, there's some cartilage here. This bit of cartilage right here. This is thyroid cartilage. So right there, this is thyroid cartilage here. We'll do cricoid later. And then underneath of the trachea is another tube, but this tube is flat. This tube is the esophagus. The esophagus is the first part of our alimentary canal. It's part of the foregut. Okay. So it's this tube right here. So we have the trachea and we have the esophagus. Okay. So there's esophagus. Okay. Esophagus is going to go down through the thoracic cavity, through a hole in the diaphragm, and it's going to pop out and connect to the stomach. Okay. So all of this right here, this is all liver, right? And underneath of the liver is the stomach. So this is stomach here. And then stomach is going to, sorry, the liver's just in the way of like whoever's on the other side. The stomach is going to curve around, and there's this little curve right there. This part coming down off of that curve is duodenum. So here's duodenum right here. And duodenum just goes straight down. Turn this around so you guys can see.